Greetings. Today I will talk about some of the events of the week of February the 22nd through 28th, 1776. This was a busy week in the early history of our nation. The largest event was the first thing I'll talk about, the Battle of Moores Creek in North Carolina. This is an excerpt from my book, 1776. I'm still writing this book, which I hope to release in April or May of this year. It will be part of the Timeline of United States History series. Meanwhile, you can enjoy the book 1775, which is available on the website www.mossyfeetbooks.com. Just click on the Timeline of United States History series on the lower left-hand side of the homepage. A box set that includes all 6 volumes of the series is available at that link at an economical price. During the early morning of February the 27th, 1776, Patriot forces serving under Colonel James Moore of the Continental Army and militia leaders Alexander Lillington and Richard Caswell clashed with Loyalist forces led by Brigadier General Donald MacDonald. The short battle occurred at Moores Creek Bridge near Curry, North Carolina. The Patriot forces defeated the Loyalist forces after a short battle, scattering them and ending any British threat to North Carolina until late in the war. The battles of Lexington and Concord in April 19, 1775, set off a series of recruitment efforts by both Loyalists and Patriots throughout the colonies as both sides jockeyed for position. British Royal Governor Josiah Martin received word that a force of 2,000 British regulars led by General Henry Clinton would arrive in North Carolina in mid-February. He ordered a Loyalist militia to muster and requested permission from the Crown to raise 1,000 men. The Crown refused the request, but Martin continued his efforts. He worked Loyalist Scots, which he had served in the British Army during the French and Indian War, and a group of people called the Regulators that were loyal to the Crown. Martin hoped to raise 6,000 men from these two groups. The leaders of the Scots and Regulators met at Cross Creek on February the 5th. Disagreements about how to proceed arose almost immediately over when to move and how many men they expected to raise. The Scots wanted to wait until the arrival of the British troops, while the Regulators favored immediate action. The Regulators won their argument, thinking they could raise 5,000 men. The Scots thought of 500 to 600 was more realistic. They agreed to muster on February the 15th, 1776. There were approximately 3,500 men when they mustered. Many of these men believed that the British troops would meet them, and when the British failed to materialize, many of these men deserted. On February 18th, the force, led by Brigadier General Donald MacDonald, moved with about 1,500 men. More men deserted during the march, further reducing the small army. The Patriots had also been active. During the fall of 1775, the Provincial Congress raised the 1st North Carolina Regiment of the Continental Army. The Congress appointed Colonel James Moore commander of this regiment, which consisted of about 650 men. Richard Caswell had raised about 800 militia and moved to reunite with Moore. Moore learned that Loyalist forces were heading for Corbett's Ferry. Caswell also marched towards the ferry, arriving there first. He blockaded the area. Upon arrival, MacDonald found his route blocked and prepared to do battle when a slave informed him that there was another crossing further upstream at Moores Creek Bridge. MacDonald left a small force there to deceive the Patriots and marched towards the bridge. Caswell, realizing that the enemy had slipped away, marched his men quickly towards the bridge. They arrived there first and crossed, forming a defensive positions on the west side of the bridge. Upon arriving, MacDonald sent an officer under a flag of truce to parley with Caswell and to spy out his positions. Upon his return, he reported that the Patriot positions were hard to defend and that their only line of retreat was across the bridge. As night fell, MacDonald decided to attack at first light, taking advantage of the Patriot forces' inadequate defenses. Caswell realized that his force was poorly positioned and moved back across the bridge to the east side. During the night, his men removed the bridge's planking and greased the runners. They also dug semicircular earthworks a short distance from the bridge. They had 2 cannon positioned to fire on any that might cross. The next morning, the Loyalists arrived, led by Colonel MacLeod and Captain John Campbell. After an exchange of gunfire, MacLeod and Campbell picked some men and crossed the bridge on horseback with a great deal of difficulty. They charged the Patriot position armed with only sabers. When the British had advanced to about 30 feet, the Patriots opened fire with muskets and cannon. MacLeod and Campbell fell dead, and the remaining Scots retreated across the bridge. The Loyalist forces had lost about 30 men. between 30 and 50 men. The Patriots lost 1. When the Loyalists retreated, Caswell's men replaced the planking and chased them, capturing about 850 men. They also confiscated about 1,500 muskets, 300 rifles, and around $15,000 in gold Spanish coins. The results of the battle included the closure of North Carolina's ports to the British and squelching of Loyalist support for the British in North Carolina. The colony was not threatened again until late in the war, when General Charles Cornwallis passed through the area on his way to Yorktown, Virginia. Memory of the battle dampened his efforts at recruiting Loyalist efforts in the area. The National Park Service maintains the site as a battlefield now. It's Moores Creek National Battlefield, 40 Patriots Hall Drive, Curie, North Carolina, 28435, and the phone is 910-283-5591. And other happenings on February the 29th, 1776, Julien Archard de Bonnevalliere, excuse my French, report reaches France. Mr. Bonnevalliere was the French foreign minister appointed by French King Louis XVI. When the outbreak of hostilities between Britain and her colonists occurred, the French king saw an opportunity to tweak Britain's nose. He sent Bonnevalliere to Philadelphia to meet with members of the Continental Congress. After he arrived, he met with Ben Franklin and 6 other delegates. He had written his report and dispatched it to France in late December. On February the 27th, 1776, the report, which was favorable to the Americans, arrived. It reached France. You can read about the visits of the French foreign minister and the delegates and many other events in 1775 in my book 1775. The Continental Congress created the Southern Department on February the 27th, 1776. The Southern Department would include operations against the British in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. On February the 29th, 1776, Pierre Caron Barchemas, and again, forgive my French, drafts a letter to the French king. French playwright and confidant of the king, Pierre Caron, and I've already proved I can't pronounce that name. Anyway, he drafted a letter that led to the French support for the American colonies. The British House of Commons approved a treaty the King George had negotiated with the Hesse-Hanau German province to provide thousands of troops to support Britain's efforts to suppress the rebellion in the American colonies on February the 29th on 1776. Also on February 29th, the British naval actions began against Savannah, Georgia. I would encourage you to visit the website www.mossyfeetbooks.com. You can visit my YouTube channel also for more great content. If you like the videos, please hit the like button. The more likes I get, the more YouTube will show it to other people and allow me to grow the channel. I also entreat you to visit my website, www.mossyfeetbooks.com. There you will find sample chapters, podcasts, a slew of content, and links to where you can buy my book. There you'll find sample chapters, podcasts. While visiting the site, you can subscribe to it and receive email notifications of when I publish a new book or other content like this video and podcast. If you like what I'm doing, please purchase a book as it helps fund my work. You find my books locally at the Rome River Marketplace in downtown Batesville, Indiana. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and thank you for